How long is God going to make you wait? Is that a question that you're asking? How long is He going to make me suffer? How long will I be in this pain? Why does He want me to suffer? Why is He letting this happen to me? Well, I have the answer, and I will show you that there is hope, that there is a life after the pain, after the suffering, and that there is a reason for it. Hi, I am Joni Summers. This is Healing in Christ, where we help women find real healing and lasting peace through faith-centered therapy and the healing power of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Last week, I shared with you guys my personal story, my very raw, vulnerable, ugly, and beautiful personal story. I showed you how you could go from an absolute loss of hope to so much peace and joy. And today I'm going to show you how I got there. So I told you guys about how I found the therapy that I do and that I had done. And I'm going to tell you how that looked for me. So I went in. I honestly was there out of absolute desperation. And I had to have hope. It was my last chance. If this didn't work, I was gone. There was just no way I was going to still be able to stay on this earth had I not found this. And so I get a lot of questions asked to me about how did it look? What happened? What did you see in it? And that is the most interesting and fun part to talk about and to hear about are people's stories and what they found. So in this treatment, what happens is you are regressed. So you get really, really relaxed. And I was regressed and asked, where are you? What are you seeing? Where is this place that started this problem that you have? And honestly, we really don't even know consciously what our issue is. We know what our symptoms are. We know what we're showing, but we don't know what the issue is. And so you're not saying, hey, when did this belief start? Because you don't even know what that belief is yet. So I was asked, okay, where are you after I'm really relaxed? Where are you? And the first scene that I saw was I was a little girl, and I can very clearly see that my dad is leaving for work because I'm looking at it through my adult eyes. But as a little girl, I could feel these feelings of like, why would my dad leave me? I am asking him, I'm begging him to stay. I'm pulling on his pant leg and I'm saying, Daddy, come play with me. But from my adult eyes, I can see that he is yelling over me at my mom and he is exasperated. And my adult eyes are telling me he's late for work. He's trying to tell her some last minute things before he leaves. There's kids everywhere. And who knows what happened for him to be late, but he's in the military and I know that it is very important for him to be on time, which if you knew my dad, you know that regardless of where he's going, it's important for him to be on time. So I understand all of this from my adult mind, but that little girl didn't. And so she's tugging on his leg and he never really reaches out. He just leaves. I'm begging him to stay and to play with me and to come see whatever I'm doing. And he just continues to kind of yell towards my mom. He's not yelling at her. He's just kind of saying, okay, and do this, and this needs to be done, and here's some other reminders, and I'm leaving. So he just like kind of shoves me out and leaves. And none of it was done in a bad way. I'm looking at none of it was done in an abusive way. None of it was done in an unloving way. It was just done in a, hey, I'm in a hurry. I gotta go. I have these other things on my mind. But my little girl mind, and you're feeling these feelings. And so she's asking, what are you feeling? What's going on? I am incredibly sad. And what does this make you feel about yourself? Well, I am just now realizing that I'm not as important to my dad as I thought I was. Maybe I'm not lovable. Maybe whatever. Well, at this age, it's really funny because clearly my dad has left for work every day of my life, right? And so in some of my other videos, you might remember that I explained that our brains change a little over two. So for everybody, it might be a little bit different, just like it's different with when we get our first teeth or whatever, it might be a little bit different, but around the age of 2.5, our brains change, and they change from a feeling brain to a thinking brain. So now you're processing, and you're not processing in an adult way, but you're kind of starting to think about things. So, oh my gosh, my dad's left every day, but this is the first time that I'm thinking that it's about me, that I'm hurt by it. And so clearly, I've also taught you guys that it's usually before the age of 2 that we already create these beliefs. So this belief had already come before I was at the age of 2, but this scene was what was coming to my mind. And I am thinking, oh my gosh, my dad doesn't love me as much as I thought. I'm not as important to him as I thought. And I am so incredibly sad. I don't say anything to anybody. I don't talk to anybody about it. I just walk away realizing that my dad doesn't love me like I thought. And so I get out of that scene, I go to a next scene. And my next scene is this campsite that we had gone to growing up. And it was always I looked forward to this every time we went. I wish that we went more often. I loved it so much. We would meet my cousins and aunts and uncles, and we would go to this campsite in Colorado and have so much fun. And I see this campsite. I know where we are. And again, in my adult mind, I realize that my parents know where I am. It's everybody's around. It's not like this far place, but when you're little, everything seems a lot farther, and it seems a lot bigger, and everything's a little bit scarier. So there's a lot of other kids, my cousins and some of my siblings around, and we're all, playing in the sand and looking at rocks and stuff. But they all end up going over to where these tables are. And I look up and I am terrified because I'm the only one there. They've all left me. And in my mind, my little girl mind, I'm thinking, I have been left and I am so scared and I don't know how to get back. In my adult mind, I realize, of course I know how to get back. I am there all the time. It's not that far. And everybody probably knew that I was okay. And honestly, probably somebody kind of had their eye on me as well. So I go back to where they are. Again, I don't tell anybody that I'm scared. I don't say anything about how I'm feeling. And they're all laughing and happy. And so she's asking me, well, why aren't you telling anybody? And I'm saying, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how I feel. Plus, they didn't even realize I was gone. Look how happy they are. Nobody's worried for me. Nobody's scared for me. And so I'm starting to believe that I'm unlovable, that my feelings don't matter, that I should not say anything to anybody because it doesn't matter anyway. And so my voice is getting really shut down by myself. I'm doing all of this to myself. It's all self-inflicted. And then I go to another scene. And my other scene is I'm in high school and I have a lunch tray and I'm walking into the lunchroom and I see all of these tables and I am having an internal panic attack. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is the worst situation to be in, to wonder where to sit. And I don't know where to sit. And she says, the lady doing my treatment says, why are you so scared of where to sit? Well, nobody wants me to sit with them. Did anybody tell you that? What has anybody done to make you feel that way? Well, nobody. So I'm, again, causing this to myself. I am saying it to myself, but it is creating and validating these beliefs that I'm not important. Nobody would really want to be around me. Nobody really, I'm unlovable. And so I am just having panic attacks. So I end up sitting with these people that I feel like maybe are safe, and they still ignore me. And so again, this internal belief of just not being important and not being seen and not being heard. And so anyway, she goes through the process of, what did your adult mind see, and was this true? So did my dad not love me because he had to go to work? Absolutely not, right? My dad loved me so much that meant nothing. It just meant he had to go to work. It just meant that he was stressed out. It did not mean that I was unlovable. It did not mean that I was unimportant. And honestly, had I said to somebody, I'm really sad that my dad just left, or if I had told my dad when he got home, which as a little kid, we just don't do that, right? We don't know to do that. We don't know that we're able to do that. And so I didn't. Had this been talked about and had my dad had the opportunity to hear me out, he would have explained to me that, hey, daddy's just in a hurry. I love you. I want to play with you. I'll play with you later. Or had I been able to, like an adult, say, hey, that really hurt me this morning and this is how it's making me feel, he also would have said, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize that. I was doing my own things. I was concerned with my own stuff. I was stressed out about my own stuff. But again, didn't happen. I would never have known how to do that as a young child. So we work it all out, and I tell myself the truth, and I tell myself what my real beliefs should be. It's not even me saying, hey, this is what it should be and trying to force that on myself. It is what I know the truth is. And especially with Christ, if we have any issues during this treatment, I can turn to Christ and say, well, I'm still feeling a little bit like this. What is the truth? And Christ will tell you the truth. He will tell you who you are. He will tell you the truth about yourself. Then we go to the next scene, and I tell myself the truth. Was I forgotten? Did nobody care about me? Why were they all having fun while I was lost and scared? Again, no, it's not true. It's not true that these people are just okay with me being lost and letting me be scared all alone. They had no clue I was scared. They knew I wasn't lost. They're having fun because they're at a family event and that's what we did. I mean, from my adult eyes, it was the most fun place on earth for me. And so I'm revisiting these with my adult eyes and telling myself that was not what it meant at all. I cannot believe that I felt this. And in the beginning, when you're regressed, you feel the feelings that you had as a child. So it is so strong, and you can tell why you had this belief. You can understand completely why you would have had this belief, because you can feel those feelings so strongly, just like you were that little girl again. But we don't leave you there. And that's the really beautiful thing about this treatment. There are a lot of therapies out there that will leave you in that mess and leave you in that trauma and leave you in those bad feelings. And that is not what happens here. So we revisit it, and we tell, you tell yourself the truth, and you have Christ there with you. Well, in my treatment, she did not do it Christ-centered, but luckily in myself, I had Christ there with me. And so then we have the high school one, and that one was super eye-opening to me, because she said, she called me out and was like, well, who told you that? What did they do? Do people make fun of you? No, nobody makes fun of me. Does anybody, is anybody saying they don't want you to sit with them? No, nobody's saying that. Has anybody made you feel that way? No, it's just me. It's just me telling that to myself. So that one was super eye-opening to me. And then we go through all of that. So that's finished. We've reconfigured that. Then we visit the part of me that is PMDD, which is what is destroying my life at this point. And why is that part there? And we have a way that we go through this, and it's a really specific way to help your body tell you exactly, this is exactly why it's there. So your body thinks it's helping you, and it decides, I'm going to create, which is usually a disease or a pain or a mental illness or something that it thinks it's helping you, because you have all of these belief systems that are really hurting you. And then that thing starts hurting you, and that has to come to the surface for you to finally find healing. But it's all subconscious, so it's really hard to untangle. So we do this process, and she does the process with me. Why is the PMDD there? Well, the PMDD is there to give me a voice, because as we saw in my 3 regression scenes, that I had said, well, why would I tell anybody? My voice isn't important. My opinion isn't important. Nobody really wants me around them. And so my body creates PMDD so that my voice has to be heard. So if you remember in my last video, when I explained about PMDD, there's rage and irritability, and in my natural being, I want everybody to be at peace. Not only do I not want to be rageful or irritable, I just want to let people be. And that's me in my natural state. So it's saying if you're not going to be good at being assertive and letting your needs be seen and heard, I'm going to make it happen. Because internally we are probably telling ourselves, I'm guessing that I was probably saying to myself, oh my gosh, if I have to deal with this one more time or whatever, but I'm keeping all of this stuff inside, and it is just building up and building up. I also had said in my previous video that the people in my relationships really didn't know me. Even my best friends and my family and the people I was in relationships with did not know me, because I was keeping all of this stuff inside, and I really didn't even realize that I was doing it. But John is really the first person that was like, no, I want to know you. I want all the ugly. I want all of it. I want the good, bad, and ugly, and kind of forced it out of me. PMDD was there to say, you're going to have a voice, and I'm going to force that voice out of you because you're not doing it yourself. And so it shows you why it's there. And then you get to say, hey, guess what? Now that I see why you're here, now that I can see why you're trying to help me and how you're trying to help me, I can help myself. And you can utilize Christ in this as well. Like, how do I help myself? How do I do this in a way that's healthy so that this part of me doesn't feel like it has to be here anymore? And how do I assertively get my feelings out there, get my opinions out there, and change this about myself so that PMD does not have to be here anymore to make me have my feelings come out. So that's also a really cool process. And we did that. We found out why PMDD was there. That's why. And then I get to teach myself, this is how you can do it assertively. Okay. And then I get to tell myself, PMDD, you don't need to be here. I can see why you've been here. I don't need you here anymore. I can do it myself. And then this is a cool part with me. I was ready. Like, yes, I'm ready for this part to be gone. But a lot of people have this part say, I'm going to hang on. I don't trust that you can do this yourself. So I'm kind of hanging on. I'm not really going to leave. And so then we have to work with that. Okay, how is this part going to leave? What do we need to do? Do we need to give it another job that is better for you? Do we just need to help it to understand what you're going to do differently now so that it can leave? With me, I did not have to do that. With a lot of my clients, I do, and Christ is really helpful in that process as well. The whole thing is really beautiful. And then we have a process which I don't think I had to do in mine either, but where you get to talk to people that have hurt you. I know this is my story, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about this too, because you get to go into a room, and if it was an abuser, somebody that's scary, you have a screen up, like when police are interrogating and somebody's watching from the outside, they have no clue. So you can have a screen up, you can have it to where you're talking to them face to face, you can have it any way you want. If this is somebody that has passed away, this is a really beautiful experience. Christ is right there with you, and you just get to say, I am so hurt because you did this, and this is how you made me feel. And they get a chance to talk back with you and say how they didn't understand or how they would have done it differently, because now they've grown and they've learned differently, and they get to reassure you. And every once in a while, there will be somebody who really truly had bad intentions and isn't a good person. And so then you have Christ there with you and helping you say, okay, well, you don't have power over me anymore. This isn't how this is going to be anymore. And you're not going to be in my life. And you were in my life, but now you're not going to have any control over it anymore. Or you might have a lot of forgiveness on both sides. And there's so much healing in that room. The interesting thing for me was that I did not feel like I had extreme trauma in my life. And if my PMDD had come from trauma, would it be from my brother dying? Because that was pretty tragic. Would it be from my, divorce? What would it be from? Well, all of those things were so big that they were talked about. they weren't something that was hid in my body. And so when I really realized how our minds work and how trauma works and how the things that affect us so strongly are things that are not talked about, that are not spoken, that are kept inside and don't come out, it was really interesting me to realize that the things that I thought that would come up were not even close to the things that came up for me. I didn't really feel like I had anybody that had abused me in a way that I needed to heal from that or come to terms with them. I really understood that the people in my life loved me. And so it was really hard to me understand for me to understand why I was struggling so badly and why I would be in this position of mental health collapse. So that was really interesting to me. I hope that it's really interesting to you. I hope that it sheds light on what might be something that you're going through and have your mind kind of going and realizing, oh, okay, this could help because maybe you're like me. Maybe you're like, there really isn't these big things that I should be dealing with. My life is good. I had a great husband, great children, a successful business. There should not have been a reason that I was feeling that way. And the treatment was so eye-opening in helping me to realize how our minds work and why this happens. And you will get the same experience. You will have it in a totally different way because Christ is going to talk to you in a way that you understand, that your mind understands. You will see the scenes that you absolutely need to see, and you will understand them in the way that your mind needs to understand them so that you can get the healing that you need. I hope that I explained that well enough. My mind goes in all different directions. As you can see, my eyes can't stay in one place. My brain kind of goes all over the place. That is the brain I have. And when I started doing these videos, I really struggled because that's the brain I have. And I was like, I'm really good at being personable. I'm really good at talking. I have enough to say, but I really struggled with not talking to a person that was keeping me on track. And so I really hope you guys can understand everything that I brought to you today and that I explained this treatment well enough for you to get out of it what you need. I am so grateful to be in this position with you, to be able to share my testimony constantly of my love of Christ, of his love for us, of the ability that he has to heal, that nothing is too far gone, that no one has gone too far to be out of his reach of being able to heal, and that joy is not out of reach. That if you feel like there's no way in your life that you will feel joy, that life is just supposed to be hard, that you've done too much, or whatever the case is, it's just not true. Joy is on the other side. Do not leave this world without experiencing it. Do not wait to experience it. The internal peace that I had after this treatment is something that I truly believed was not available to me. My mom would constantly tell me the scripture, God made men that they may have joy, or whatever, however the scripture goes. And I would just roll my eyes. Where is that joy for me? I don't feel joy. I don't feel joy ever. Even when I'm happy, I don't feel joy. But I am here to tell you that wasn't true. It wasn't true for me, and it's not true for you. Your story, just like mine, is a story of hope and peace and healing and redemption. God will show you that. I hope that you do it sooner than later. Next week, we will be talking about analogies that God has given me for life and healing. That is how he speaks to me. Everybody hears him in different ways. I love that he speaks to me in that way because I love telling stories, and there's always stories that he's telling me that then I get to return to you. So we will talk about analogies that he's given to me, and I hope you guys have a beautiful week. I love you. We will see you next week.